Hi, this is Basil Green speaking. I am your speaker for today on the Bread Basket Show. I want to dedicate this episode to someone that is very dear to my heart, a special lady. She is my father's auntie, or my father's aunt, and that will make her my grandmother's sister. I want to share a story about her, but before I do that, I've decided to name this podcast How to Dedicate Your Life to Serving Others. And in thinking about her and her life, she worked as a nurse at St. Mary's Hospital for many years, and she spent her life trying to save other people's lives. And I'm one of those people. I believe I could have been dead had she not been in that hospital in 2007. I got stabbed on my head by a certain guy. I talk about him in my book, I'm Not Trying to Be First. I share that story about how I almost lost my life. I collapsed. I was rushed to hospital. When we got to the front of the hospital's gate, the securities were refusing to actually let my friend's car in. I was in the back bleeding profusely. I lost a lot of blood. And he managed to force his way in. He threatened to even ram the boom gate down if they don't let him in. Like on those terms. So I ended up getting into the hospital, and you know what, hospitals you still have to wait in queues. I just remember the last words before I passed out in that hospital. I told him that I'm related to her, and I said she's in Ngubane and she's a nurse in this hospital. Please, can you call her because she's my family? And then I passed out. I woke up the next day. I don't remember if it was just before a friend of mine, Antonio Carroll, came and see me. And I was put on the bed and blood was being given to me. But my life was saved. I woke up, I had a severe headache, a throbbing headache. My head was paining because of the stab wound. But I was pondering about her life. She was in St. Mary's Hospital. I went and see her. And the very same hospital where she spent many years of her life serving people, trying to save their lives. And the thing that came to me was, I'm writing a book. It's called What Good Can Come From This. And death is never a good thing. And I personally would like to take one thing away from her life, was that she dedicated her life to something worthwhile, to something good. And she passed away, or she spent the last days of her life in that place where she dedicated her life. And I would like to believe that this was her passion. She loved what she did. And I'm not only going to dedicate this podcast to her, I've decided to even dedicate the book that I'm busy with. It's book 3 of the Ultimate Productivity Quest. I've already finished 2 books of this 5-book series. And it will be my 4th book that I publish, because there's another book I've published outside of the Ultimate Productivity Quest book series. It's called Solid Ground, My Testimony. Now, my father's aunt, she spent many years, she was old. My father's 65 or so, I think, or 64. He's 65, in fact. And she's many years older than him. She's probably in her 70s or so. And so she's lived a life, even though we would have loved for her to spend many more years. And I was speaking to my mom, coming back from seeing her in hospital, and I was saying, hey, I really feel I should do something good for her, because I don't see that I've done anything worthwhile for her life. But now she's gone. So all I can do now is just honor her life, because I probably wouldn't be sharing this podcast with you today. I wouldn't be able to write all these books that I've written so far. I wouldn't be working today, or I wouldn't have met many of the people that I've met after 2007. I would have died in my sins. So some people don't really understand. And I'm thinking that her son, I need to just go and honor him. He's more or less my age. In fact, he's younger than me. But he's my uncle. But he likes to call me his cousin, just to make it a little bit more comfortable for us to relate with each other. Seeing that he is younger than me. But he is a good guy. He's calm. He's also just lost his brother a couple of years ago, who was more or less my age. He died a death. That was a little bit tragic. So this podcast is just dedicated to her. And I am talking on the subject of dedicating your life to serving others. Just giving your life. Her life just speaks volumes on that note. That she gave her life. And I am an example of someone who received part of a service. Though I am a family member, had she not been in that hospital that night, I don't know how it would have turned out. It never turned out well. I'm saying it could have not turned out well. It turned out okay because I'm still here. It's one of my near-death experiences. I share a couple of them in my books. Solid Ground has one as well. So just be on the lookout for the next book. It's called What Good Can Come From This. I'll go into a little bit more detail about my experience when I was driven to St. Mary's Hospital. Stuff that I didn't share in the last book. And I'll first get some permission if I can talk about her life as a nurse from her son. How it ended. I heard some things, but I'll have to just verify it with him when I do see him. It's not going to be a long thing I'm going to talk about because I believe, people need to be honored. If there's anyone apart from my parents, my mom and my dad, that deserves high honor, she's one of the people. I'll say she was a catalyst. She was a person that was strategically placed there by God to make sure that I make it to this century or to this year, because we already were in the 21st century. And this happened at the time when I just started my call center career. I was busy with the learnership. I almost never finished it. And I started my book speaking about I've come full circle. I've found myself back in the same position I was in when I started off as a call center professional. So this is Basil Green speaking. And remember to find something to dedicate your life to. Find something where you can dedicate your life to serving others. And this podcast was dedicated to Tombe Ngobane for her life of service. Until next time.